Hello, boils and ghouls, and welcome to an episode of Haunted Vermont. We are here to talk about, first off, I am Tessa Baker, and I am joined by
Podolsky.
And we are here tonight to talk to you all about our most recent spooky adventure that we partook for Spooktober this past weekend. We, meaning Paul and I, we went out to partake in the City Ghostwalk out in Burlington, Vermont, which was hosted by Thea Lewis.
And it was, to shine in real quick, it was called the Darkness Fall Tour.
Yes. So, we got there at, about quarter 7. We met up with Thea and sold out tour. And that was a pretty decent sized group.
Yeah, there were probably like 25, 30 people.
Yeah, roughly about 25, 30 people there besides us.
I'll just say for the record too, it was not a bad little night. I mean, it was, the wind wasn't your greatest friend, but it wasn't like cold. But otherwise, it was a very nice night for a ghostly adventure.
It was a lovely night with a slight chill to the air, along with the chilling tales that we were told about various different places that we walked around to in the city of Burlington. Each location that we were brought to by the amazing Thea Lewis, our ghostly tour guide, was very, very interesting. Would you like to talk about the first one that she told us about for the place that is now known as Nectar's Lounge?
I mean, honestly, because people should sort of know. If not, I'll say it for even maybe the possibility of new listeners. So, hi, my name is Paul Dolsky. I'm the guy that everybody loves to hate or just doesn't mind listening to. Anyway, the point to this is I am part deaf, so sometimes everything isn't great for me, which is probably one reason why I don't really do a lot of outside tours, because I even know with the voice amplifier boxes that these tour guides have, it still isn't loud enough for me to sometimes appreciate what's being said due to, well, people, traffic that's actually going
environmental sounds.
Pretty much environmental sounds. But anyway, so yes, we all had to meet at the courthouse area. And obviously, like Tessa was mentioning, across the street from us was Nectar's. And from there, it basically was a story about these little children that played sweet and innocent, asking for help, looking for their parents, etc., which, as it leads up, it was basically like, I think I know where this is going because of kids, because usually when you hear the word children needing help, parents, looking for parents, or just need help in general, I mean, it's always, the black-eyed children, which is very rare in Vermont from what I can tell, because this is possibly the second story that I've ever heard now about them being in Vermont. So this one is basically just, the typical, the kids want help. They want you to help them look for their parents, but whether it be outside, inside the building, which I'm drawing a blank. What was it before Nectar's? It was like an apartment or something?
No, it
Did
was
Thea
like it
say?
was no, it was like an art. It was like an arcade slash like music place. I forget what the name of it was before.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's hard to remember everything, especially when it's all done in about an hour. So it started at 7 and it basically ended a little bit past 8. But I mean, again, like there was a lot of stuff going on, and it was great. But anyway, so yeah, basically what it comes down to is that Nectar was the story for Black Eyed Children, and I mean, I wouldn't want to be running into Black Eyed Children. No, thank you.
No, I don't think any of us would want to be running into the black-eyed children. They are said to be demons
That's right.
luring poor, unsuspecting people,
To their doom.
yes, to their doom. So, another reason why I am leading this episode this evening is because, like Paul said, he is part deaf, so I am essentially his ears. Um, I heard pretty much everything that was said on the tour where Paul might have missed some stuff to, like he said, environmental noises and etc. So the next place that we went to on the tour with Thea Lewis was the Flynn Theater. And this was actually one of my favorite um, ghost stories because Thea had walked us around to the back of the Flynn Theater, essentially. And she told us the story of the Flynn ghost, which would greet late night workers working on lights and would appear floating up in the air, sitting in a cross legged position, just chilling there, just like tapping their foot and stuff, just observing the theater folk workers. And then he would just vanish. And another ghost that was talked about was the ghost lady who would appear in the dressing room um, with the actor or actress, and she would lean down next to you, put her face side by side with yours,
On the
and
right hand side of you.
on the right hand side of you, in front of the mirror, and you could see her beautiful hair and everything. But when it got to seeing her face was smudged out. There was no face that you could see. And I also thought that this was kind of um, interesting because we
I
didn't notice
noticed. Yes,
we were noticed Paul and I were noticing something as Thea was talking about this smudged out lady ghost that um it didn't dawn on us until as we were walking away and Thea had already moved, but Thea was standing underneath a part of the building where in black graffiti writing it said
white.
smud. No, it was a white building with black lettering. And it
No, it was a
said
white. The lettering was white. Thank you.
whatever. There was lettering on the back of the building and it said smudged in
In
quotation
quotation.
marks, literally right above Thea's head.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't dawn on Paul and I to take a picture until Thea had already walked away from where it said smudged on the wall.
And we
Which,
didn't even take a picture of that either as everybody was walking away because it was just like, oh my god. Yeah, that's exactly what that says because obviously, what it being graffiti, sometimes I haven't really caught on to the whole like graffiti lettering yet. But yes, once I realized it said schmud, that's when I was like, crap, I did not take
so
a picture.
So we will have to plan a return trip to Burlington, probably during the day, so we can actually explore more, because there is also a cemetery that we want to check out up that way together. And we'll get the picture of the smudged graffiti then and add that to our photo album, which I started the other night. So moving on, we had the next ghost story that she took us to. And as we were walking by this place before she started telling the story, I was reading the sign of this bar called What Ails You? And I thought it was such an interesting sign. And I, oddly enough, felt drawn to it for some reason. And then when we got across the street and we were facing the bar and Thea had stopped there to tell the ghost story, I was like thinking to myself, I was like, is this going to tie into the sign we just walked past? And sure enough, it did. So the What Ails You bar was tied into the building being what was the name of the hotel? It was
I understood it was called like the Vermont Hotel or something like
I
that. It
think
was
I think it
very
was I believe it was called the Vermont Hotel. That's what it was called back in the day. And then there was another hotel
right across.
right across the street from it, which is now a TD Bank, but back in the day it was this lavish hotel, and I wish I could remember the name because it was such an interesting name and it almost sounded French in a way. But anyways, there was a tunnel built underground in between these two hotels that literally connected the two together underground, so that ladies of the evening could travel back and forth and go over to the
Kitchen.
Vermont hotel through the passage through the tunnel into the kitchen, from away from the other hotel where there used to be more conservative like women that pretty much frowned upon the ladies of the evening.
That's right.
So this was their way. This tunnel was a way to keep the ladies of the evening, their occupation going, for anybody who would be looking for a little extra company for the night over at the Vermont Hotel. So the ghost story for this one is, there was a guy that worked over in the bar of the Vermont Hotel, and he had gone down to the cellar or the basement or whatever to grab another keg to bring up to the bar. And while he was down there, he saw this absolutely beautiful, breathtaking woman carrying a parasol, and she was dressed in like this beautiful dress and
Of that time frame, yeah.
of that time period, and a hat, and he just couldn't believe how beautiful she was, and he was just staring at her. And all of a sudden she vanishes. She's gone, like right before his very eyes. She just dissipates into air.
Well, not just that, but as I remember correctly, didn't he try to approach her to like ask her something, and then that's
Yeah,
when? That's
Yeah.
when she turned around and he could see through her, and that's when, yeah, as you said, she vanished. Which, as C.S. Lewis puts it, she ghosted him.
Yeah, she literally ghosted him. There's no better example of being ghosted than that.
Nope. That's probably where the term came from, or something
While
similar.
And also, while we were on Thea Lewis's Darkness Falls Ghost Walk, she also brought up our very first serial killer, the infamous H.H. Holmes. Now, this guy has always fascinated me and Paul. And I know, yeah, you're probably saying, oh boy, they have a fixation with serial killers. Creepy. This one in particular was very, very meticulous and very deviously ingenious with his methods and everything. But I could talk all evening about H.H. Holmes, but she basically talked about how he briefly lived in Burlington for a time. And she also spoke about this statue that was across the road that was like a fluorescent red. And she said that her kids referred to them as the devil Twizzlers, which Paul and I thought that was pretty comical.
Yeah,
So,
and so another interesting part about that I remember here we were talking about with H.H. Holmes about Vermont Deadliest Student is where the waterfront was. There used to be like a logging company, and you know how the story goes with you get people that come off of the boat, train, whatever, you know, and you meet this guy who would gladly show you where to go is definitely the perfect recipe to basically be the one chosen for the not so wonderful experimentations going on.
yeah, he would essentially lull you into a false sense of security, offering his help to help you get to where you want to go. He was a very sharply dressed man, presumably looking innocent, but there was something very far more sinister at work here. And let's just say you never got to your destination. For your body ended up at medical schools and hospitals and etc., being used as
Cadavers.
cadavers for medical students and such.
Medical study.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
medical studies.
Yeah.
So,
How fun. But yeah, that was the last little bit that I remembered too from about that. Just because back in the day with the waterfront, when it used to be the log company, there used to be tons and tons of piles of logs, which, and it, as Seal would put it, you could easily get lost and not find your way out. So again, perfect way to hide a dead body, basically.
yeah, you would never be heard from or seen ever again.
That's right.
So then from there, Thea took us to the Follett house, which this is one that Paul had been looking forward to even before we got there because he had heard the stories about it.
And I've seen the pictures that other people have taken, so that's what made it more intriguing about this place as well.
So the Follett house is a Greek revival mansion which is located on College Street. It's known now as the Pomerleau Real Estate Building. It was originally the home of Timothy Follett, and Timothy Follett was alive from 1830 to 1853. And he had been there. He was a businessman, and he was investing in local shipping, lumber, and railroad people.
Sound familiar?
So eventually, all of his business enterprises had failed, and he lost his home to a business rival. The guy that took over his mansion said that he had died penniless and alone in a sanitarium. But the spirit is said to still inhabit and haunt the Follett house. Because, as Thea said, even though a ghost or a spirit may not die in the place, they can still inhabit it or haunt it if it's a place of familiarity and comfort. So the ghost of Follett, Timothy Follett, is said to haunt the place. And there's flickering lights said to have happened, mysterious happenings in the building. There was one guy that was working there that was an employee, and he shut all the lights off for the night and locked up and put the alarm on and everything and went out to his vehicle only to look up to see lights on the second floor. Now, he knew that he had shut the lights off, but for some reason they were all back on mysteriously. Ooh, spooky. And this is said to have happened several times with different employees having different experiences. Most of the time, it being flickering lights and shapes passing by the mansion windows peering onto the lawn. Thea spoke of the lower left-hand window of the building, and then she had spoken of the middle window between the pillars on the second floor.
Yeah, which was almost like a door or something too, where you could go to the little balcony that was right there too, as well, if I remember correctly.
So Paul and we had taken some pictures because this was a part of the tour where Thea had strongly encouraged that everybody take pictures to
Yeah, just
see.
because of what people have captured throughout the tours, I'll say.
I'm not 100% positive I did indeed capture something in the pictures that I took of the Follett house, because I need to take a closer examination of the photos that I took, but I thought that I had maybe captured something in an image that I took of the lower left-handed window on the first floor. I thought that I saw like a misty silhouette of a figure peering from the side of the window looking out, but I'm not 100% positive, like I said.
Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to really thoroughly myself look and see if anything came out on my end. But even right now, as we're talking a little bit, I don't see anything, but that doesn't mean anything.
So,
But yeah, so the fellow house I thought was the finale because that's what it sounded like. Went from Sia, but technically that was the second to last.
so then she led us to the final destination on the Darkness Falls tour, the place called the First Baptist Church. And she told us a story of a lady, a young girl who had fallen in love with someone she had just met. I guess she was really smitten, and so smitten that she wanted to marry him immediately. And her father turned around and said, "Well, no, you're not. You don't really know him. We don't know him. You know, if you really want to marry him, then it's going to be a long engagement, about 5 years." As soon as this guy heard that the engagement was going to be 5 years, he split so fast, just gone. He's like, "Nope." And so we suspect that he was after like a dowry, something having to do with her for monetary reasons.
You're right. Which that's kind
So
of sad nowadays.
so she took that the news of him just jumping ship and leaving very, very hard. Tragically so. She And the story of the First Baptist Church is that sometimes an organ can be heard playing, and it's when nobody's there. And apparently, there's another church in town where there has been another instance of hearing an organ playing by itself with nobody around, which was another ghost story. But walking up to this church and seeing it and taking a picture of it, it has a massive tower on top of it. And the windows had like this red, like afterglow light coming out of them, which I thought made the place look eerie and made good for atmosphere for the ghost story that Thea told us. Throughout the tour, she was amazing. She was engaging. She was funny. She was very witty. And, she made the experience very fun and enjoyable. And Paul and I, we had a great time with her. We would highly recommend that you take one of her tours. You won't regret it. I promise. It is so much fun.
Yeah, there's one thing that was actually cool too that Theo did was she had a bell that she gave to one of the people from for that came for the experience, and she had told them that if they feel an uneasy presence to basically ring the bell. Which surprisingly, the bell did not ring. The person did not ring the bell, so I guess we had nothing to worry about when it came to bad, bad spirits. I guess it was all
Yeah,
for
she's like if
good
you
spirits.
sense anything malevolent, like a demon or a bad spirit, ring the bell
Bad,
to ward them off.
because bells compel them. But yeah, I completely agree with Tessa. I would highly recommend Queen City Ghostwalk while you can. There's only a couple weekends left, and that means you guys need to get it on it so they can end up having a bang for the win for the end of the year for their tours. So that way, when next year comes, it will happen all over again. But if you have not had the chance, I would totally recommend it because Darkness Falls is not the only thing that they do. They do the Lakeview Cemetery one. They do like a Lake Champlain one. They used to do a flashlight one that Sia was talking about. Um, they used to do another one too, almost like a or I don't know if they still do it, but maybe they do. But it's like uh, a bus ride where you kind of ride around UVM or something like that. Anyway, you can get all the information from QueenCityGhostwalk.com, and that's where you can buy tickets. I think tickets are also provided through 7 Days, Vermont. But other than that, Darkness Fall Tour was about $25 per person, so it's not bad, not for an hour. So if you're looking for something spooky, like I said, the Queen City has some stuff you can do.
Yeah, so with that, that's going to conclude our episode, Boys and Ghouls. Hope you enjoyed. And definitely check out Queen City Ghostwalk. It is an amazing experience that everybody should take advantage of. And I was Tessa Baker, and I was joined by.
Aldoski.
And we want you to stay scary.